Hello and welcome to Bounding Into Comics. My name is John Trent. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief at Bounding Into Comics. Today I got a story about Star Wars activists wanting to, quote, unwhitewash the Bad Batch, where they claim the characters are racist. Before we get to the story, I'd like to ask if you could please hit that subscribe button if you are not subscribed already. And if you are already subscribed, please make sure you are still subscribed. And hopefully by the end of this video, I will have earned your like and you will give us a like and that you will then share it with your friends and family. So let's get to it. Star Wars activists at Project Stardust and Clone Hub and elsewhere want to, quote, unwhitewash the Bad Batch. This was brought to our attention by YouTuber Drunk3PO, where he points out that Nessa from Project Stardust claims that the clones in the Bad Batch are, quote, distinctly whiter than other clones. But not only that, Nessa also claims that, quote, they perform better than the average clone. Project Stardust Nessa is not the only person who feels this way. The activist cited fellow activist and Tumblr user Clone Hub, who created the website unwhitewashthebadbatch.card.co. In fact, much of Nessa's article is based off the opinions of Clone Hub, who claims the Bad Batch has been whitewashed in two ways, through their visual and physical design and through their voice actor. Clone Hub continues saying, D. Bradley Baker is a white man from Colorado who was chosen to play a group of men of color with an ethnically tied dialectical accent. If it still isn't clear, Baker being white and doing this accent is equivalent to him being hired to play a black character and then poorly attempting an African-American vernacular English accent, aka blaccent, Ebonics, etc. It's racist. Clone Hub goes on to point out what he considers to be the problems of each of the individual members of the Bad Batch. For Hunter, he claims, quote, while his skin is leaning toward the darker side out of everyone on the Bad Batch, it still isn't where it should be. When his white squad members antagonize and pick petty fights with the regular clones, he rarely steps in to stop them. It's a load of crap. In the first episode where the Bad Batch are introduced, first episode of Season 7, where the Bad Batch are introduced in the Clone Wars, Hunter breaks up a fight between the Regs and the Bad Batch and tells Wrecker to drop one of the Regs. He literally says, Wrecker, drop him, now. And his skin tone looks exactly like the Regs, as you can see in the Bad Batch first episode. For Crosshair, he states, quote, he has light skin with a yellow undertone, a very narrow, long face and nose, a narrow jaw, and a small mouth. He's shaped like a sniper rifle. He looks nothing like the Maori man he's based on. He adds, Crosshair is the first person to express displeasure with regular clones. He goes out of his way to start fights he can't finish. Optically, this looks like a white man picking on brown men, specifically because he believes he is genetically superior to them. It's fully racist. Crosshair's first comments are in response to a Reg asking, what are you looking at? That Reg was asking that pretty aggressively. And he does not go out of his way to pick fights. However, he does respond callously to that Reg asking, what are you looking at? He says, we don't usually work with Regs. He then flicks his toothpick at the other clone trooper. Another instance is of him being callous is him questioning Captain Rex's tactical acumen, and if Rex was actually so good, Commander Cody would not have had to bring in the Bad Batch. Not sure about you, but that's not picking a fight. And again, his skin tone looks the same as Hunter's and the other regular clone troopers as well. Moving on to Tech, he writes, quote, he is designed like a fully white man. White skin, white features, brown straight hair, and an unfortunate hairline make up the cognitive genius of the Bad Batch. He adds, Tech is unsurprisingly also the least likely to fight. He's very docile, calm, and physically smaller than all of his teammates. Contrast this with Wrecker, who's the complete opposite in every way. In fact, Tech and Wrecker's interactions in the first episode compound the racism in both their writing. Tech mocks or belittles what Wrecker says and directly states that the team would not pass a mental test because of Wrecker. As you can see, he's not small. He's the same height as both Hunter and Commander Cody. And if you actually watched any of the episodes featuring the Bad Batch, he's just as likely to take the fight to the enemy as the rest of them. However, he does try and intervene when Wrecker and Crosshair clash with the Regs after Commander Cody is injured. And then we get to Wrecker. He says, Quote, Wrecker is exactly what his name implies. He's big, destructive, aggressive, prone to physical violence at the slightest provocation, and he's the only member of Bad Batch that has features remotely resembling a Maori man's. He also inexplicably has an American accent, which has changed to fake Maori since the premiere of the series. He continues, the team created a directly racist character by making a brown man a large and violent person. His low intelligence and large physical size, especially as contrasted with Tech, is a racist stereotype of literally all men of color. In the first episode, Wrecker complains loudly about hand signs, and it is made clear he's refused repeatedly to learn them. Tech says that they'd never pass a mental evaluation, directly implying that Wrecker is too stupid and would drag the entire team down. I don't have a lot to say other than this is fully racist. I'm pretty sure all of the clones are aggressive and prone to violence. They were literally created to fight a war. And then, as I already pointed out, Wrecker is taller and bigger than the other clones, but that's just him. Tech is literally the same height as Hunter. He's the same physical build as well as the other clones. He just has a little bit of a different facial makeup. And then last but not least, Clone Hub talks about Omega. He says, quote, Omega has incredibly light skin and blonde hair, although the team didn't go the standard route and give her blue eyes like they have done with some clones. Yet, surprisingly enough, she actually has a proper Maori accent, which I consider an improvement over what the rest of the Bad Batch has. At the same time, this does not erase the fact that she has been designed after a white girl and that she isn't even the first clone child to be given lightened skin and hair. It's really hard to respond to that because I don't feel like we know enough information about Omega. We do know that she is the same DNA as the rest of the Bad Batch, but we do know about the Bad Batch that they are quite different than the regular clones, and that's explained in their first appearance in Season 7 of the Clone Wars. Commander Cody specifically describes them as defective. He says, they're defective clones with desirable mutations. It literally explains why they look different, why they. Oh yeah, it explains why they look different. That's the explanation that is given. It also could explain why they have different personalities, but anyone who's watched any of the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels knows that the Bad Batch, while they are technically defective, they are not unique when it comes to clones having individual personalities and traits. Some favorites are Rex and Cody, as seen in the Bad Batch episode of that first episode that they're introduced in Season 7 of the Clone Wars. But others include Fives, Echo, Wolf, and Gregor. So, to conclude, there are valid complaints about the Bad Batch. The idea that they are racist is not one. This is a complete and utter joke of a complaint. It doesn't make any sense if you actually watched any of the shows where the characters are featured in it. This just looks to be an activist trying to insert their race and identity politics into Star Wars, which already has plenty of it itself. But this is just completely absurd and absolutely stupid. And that's all I really have to say on that. I mean, what else can you say? It's just completely insane and absurd. My name is John Trent, and you've been watching Bounding into Comics.